Hey everybody, welcome to the beginner's lesson for the introduction to Microsoft Excel. If you are a brand new Excel user, this is going to tell you everything that you need to know in order to get started creating spreadsheets. So start out by opening up Excel on your PC so that you can follow along with me as I tell you what all of this stuff means. So I'm going to start out by saying that if you have used Excel in the past, this video is not going to be right for you. This video is intended for people that have never used Excel before. So I just want to start out by saying that my operating system on my PC is Windows 10, and the version of Microsoft Office that I have is Office Professional Plus 2016. Don't get hung up if you've got a different operating system or if you've got a different version of Microsoft. All of the versions pretty much do the same thing. So it might look a little bit different, but each of them have the same capabilities. So some of the things on your screen might look a little bit different than my screen, and that's okay. They all work pretty much the same way. This is what Excel is going to look like as soon as you open it. Okay, so it's going to open up. Mine opens up with a sheet 1. Some of yours may open up with a sheet 1, a sheet 2, and a sheet 3 down here at the bottom. Mine is one sheet, one workbook per spreadsheet, and then it's automatically going to name it book 1 or whatever book number you have available. So if you end up saving things as book 1 and book 2 and book 3, it'll just go to the next available one. You probably don't want to get into the habit of saving things as book 1. You want to try to be as specific as you can when you save things, because it makes it a lot easier when you go back and try to find something that you've already worked on. So let's just start out with the basics. We've got these right here, all of these boxes. These are called cells. Okay, so wherever you have the outline, that is your active cell. So right now our active cell is A1. I can see that because we have the outline around it, and then I can also tell where we are right here. This is our cell location, A1. So wherever you click, wherever you move in this spreadsheet, if you have a cell selected, that is your active cell. So right now, C5 is my active cell. So this brings me to the columns and rows. Okay, so columns go this way. These are columns. Think of columns like in a building. They have columns, or a porch, or anywhere that has columns. Columns go up and down like this. So this is A, B, C, D, E. You get the idea. And so these are columns that go this way, and then we have rows that go this way. This is row 1, row 2, row 3. Okay, so wherever the column and the row intersect, that gives you your cell location. So right here at the intersection of F and row 7, this cell is called F7, and it's like that clear throughout, as in thousands and thousands of cells that you have in Excel. All of them have a name. Okay, so the cell location is the cell name. So this is C5 right here, and you can see C5 right here. This is our cell location. That's our cell name. Okay, so I just want you to take a minute and try to move around a little bit in your workbook. Okay, you can move around by clicking. I'm using my mouse and I'm clicking into different cells. Okay, that's one way you can get around. Another way you can get around is with your arrow keys. So if you want to practice using your arrow keys, it's very simple. Up, down, left, and right will just get you anywhere you want to be in this spreadsheet. Okay. Another way you can get around is with your enter key or return. So if you hit enter, just know that enter is always going to take you down. So see how I started here in A1? If I hit enter, I go to A2, A3, A4. Okay, so that's another way to move around. Another way to move around is with your tab key. Okay, so when you hit tab, it goes to the right. So that's the difference between enter and tab. One enter goes down, tab goes to the right. Every time, down to the right, down to the right. Okay, so just practice that in your workbook so you can get an idea of how things can be moved around. Okay. You can also, if you want to, you can put in your cell location right here. So all you have to do is just click into that and put any cell location you want. So I'm going to say N19 and hit enter. And then it's going to take me to cell N19, which is right here. Okay, so those are the ways that you can move around in Excel. The next thing that I'm going to show you is how to make selections. Okay, so now I'm going to show you what all these little cursors mean. When I say cursor, that's wherever your mouse is on your screen. See how I've got this little plus sign dancing around? That's my cursor. Okay, so that's my mouse pointer. Even though I'm all over the spreadsheet, our active cell is still A1. Okay, but I'm going to show you how you can move around in Excel by using your cursor. Okay, this one right here, that's the white plus sign, that's called select mode. This is the select cursor. Okay, so whenever you want to select a cell or a range of cells, you're going to use the select cursor, which is this one right here. Now, let me tell you what a range is. A range is a group of cells, perhaps like this. Okay, so if you have more than one cell selected, it becomes a range. Okay, so right now, the range that I have also has a name. Just the same way that all of the cells have a name, so do the ranges. So the way the ranges are named, you start at the very first cell in the range, which is always the top left, and that is C2. And then you move to the last cell in the range, which is cell H8, which is right here, and that names the range. Now, the way it's written is C2 colon H8. That's how that range would be written. The way the range would be spoken would be C2 through H8. And you're going to hear me say range locations throughout these tutorials. So if you hear me say, I want you to select B3 through G9, this is how you would do it, right like that, okay? And it would be written like this. B3 through is the colon, and then G9. That's how it's written. So if you ever see it written, that is called a range. It is spoken B3 through G9, and the way that is selected on the screen is like this, B3 through G9, just like that, okay? Even though this cell is white right here, it's still part of your range. It just shows you where it starts and then where it ends, okay? So now let's talk a little bit more about some other cursors. So let's look at this one right here. This is called the autofill cursor. And this is something that we're going to use quite a bit as we get a little bit further into these lessons. But I want you to understand that if you have the autofill cursor up, that's not how you select, okay? This is for copying and pasting formulas from one cell to another or to fill some sort of a series in Excel, okay? So if you're trying to select, like if you want to do B2 through D4, you have to make sure that you've got the select mode on, because if you try to do that with your fill handle, it's going to do something completely different. Okay, so see the difference in what happens. That's not, you can tell by looking at the screen that you're not selecting right now, that you are doing something completely different. See the difference between doing these? You go B2 through D4, makes them gray. If you for some reason had the wrong the wrong cursor selected and you were trying to do your fill handles. See how that looks different? So that's not what you want to do. Okay, so the fill handle we're going to talk about a little bit more later. I just want you to focus right now on the select mode cursor, which is the one you're going to use the most right now. Okay, so let's talk about how you put data into Excel. Most of the time you're going to have